Welcome to the Hasn't Been 3 Days podcast. I'm BJ, one of your co-hosts, and I got with me Justin, where we talk about 3-day-old news, sports, and whatever else we care about. Because you know what? It's our podcast. You, the MVP listeners, get to listen in. You get to hate on our takes and opinions. You get to laugh, and you get to enjoy our conversation. But if you have opinions and you have hate comments, please wait 3 days to let us know. We won't read them, but we will get back to you. So,
yes, we will read them and we will discuss them and we will learn from our mistakes.
For sure. So here's the thing: we are not. We are making so many impressions in this world of podcasting. I'm just so thankful for our MVP listeners. We are up to 442 impressions this last week, and we have been in 4 different countries. Justin, before we get into the show, what country that we're not in? So we're in Belgium, Canada, the UK, and Russia. What country do you want to be in that we're not in?
Ooh, I think Australia.
Yeah,
I think our podcast would probably be upside down there, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be really hard to listen to?
It would be going backwards on the left side.
Yeah. So that would be the
It's
hard
probably
piece.
the same in the UK, though.
Going backwards?
On the left side, on the opposite
Oh, left side. Yeah.
What if
What?
the Queen of England is listening to our podcast?
There is a possibility.
There is because 46% of our listeners are female.
It's true. She
Shout
is a
out-
female.
Shout out to all of our female listeners. We are so thankful for you. I know we had a segment a couple weeks ago on the WNBA. Got a lot of run with our female listeners. But
I heard that we might actually have a connection to the WNBA. We might be able to have a potential interview. Like, that's a real thing. Like, we're not going to reveal the source because we don't want to ruin it, but
no,
we're going to probably pursue this and see where we can get.
You know, I haven't even told that source that we put together a schedule of events, and we did put her on the schedule. So maybe I'll do some checking with my sources, and maybe we can get our WNBA source to be joining us on the podcast soon.
Yeah, that would be. They did share. We did see text messages of this comments about it, and they had a different perspective than what we were presenting, but it's still valid. Very valid.
Absolutely valid. And because it's a female, it's probably more valid than our opinion, but it's our podcast, so we get to talk about what we want. So
yeah, that's true. Well, BJ, it's a new week, new podcast. How was your weekend last?
My weekend was good. Yeah, it was pretty chill. I got to spend time with my kids. Got to spend some really great time with some friends and some family time. It was a great time together. We laughed. We had a lot of fun. And like I say every week, I got to spend time with my kids and people I love. I think that is underrated, spending time with people you love. So I love that about my weekends. How about you, Justin? What was your weekend like?
Well, I was a single father. My wife left me. Well, she went to South Dakota with her mom.
Yeah,
she went to the Black Hills.
Good pregnant pause. Is your wife pregnant too?
Nope. She can't have babies. I think what she says normally is she goes, "I don't have those parts anymore," is what she tells people. So it's fair. Well, it's on the podcast now, so everybody knows. Yeah, but no, it's fine. So she enjoyed some time away from probably me more than anything, but missed her kids. But she had a good time with her mom and her aunt and an extension of the family, family friend that we consider another aunt probably. And so they had a good time up in Custard, South Dakota with no cell service, and so they didn't have to communicate to anybody. So I think they enjoyed that. And then Dad just had to be around to taking my daughter to homecoming, so that was entertaining with 3 girls, and then they all spent the night at my house, and so yeah, and then it was just sit around for football and son's football game. So other than that, kind of par for the course.
So we talked to Brenton last week on the podcast, and we asked him about his football career, which was 1 game at that point. Now we're in game 2. Care to give us an update? How did Brenton do in his game?
Not so well. A lot of turnovers. That led to
for him though, right?
He played decent.
Okay.
But you win and lose as a team, which is something that we're teaching. I think there's some team members of their squad that just wants to blame people when they don't go well, when people throw interceptions or fumble the ball. So, 12-year-olds learning to lose, and we're trying to teach them at the same time. I don't coach, so this is all behind-the-scenes conversations I have with my son. I don't coach any of my kids' stuff because I would lose my mind doing with other people's kids. So yeah. I just sit in the back.
That's the warning sign: is don't let Justin coach midget football.
Jeez, don't even let Justin be a youth sponsor. You know how well that went.
We don't need to go there this episode.
Oh, goodness. But yeah, no, we had a good weekend. So now we're just we're back to the same thing. Same grind.
Awesome. Well, it was kind of an uneventful but same weekend for us, it sounds like. That's good. These 3-day-old news sometimes can be bland, but sometimes can be interesting. So as we move into some things that caught our attention this week, again, it's kind of slow. But speaking of warning labels, Justin, what do you got for us on warning labels?
Well, so this week I ran into an article about in California they're going to be, they want to push through putting warning labels on your gas stove. Now you might have to put a warning label on it, say it's hot. We had this hot coffee conversation or hot chocolate conversation probably in episode 1. I think we talked about this, or maybe we didn't. I don't know. But they want to put warning labels on stoves similar to what they do for tobacco products because of the blue flame on your gas stoves is causing pollution. I guess only in the state of California, but
it is true. There's a big wall around the state of California. As a person who lives in a state that borders California, you have to give 3 forms of ID and 6 blood samples just to cross the border.
They still check fruit and vegetables, don't they, when you come across the border every time too? Or do they not do that anymore?
Yeah, I think they do.
Yeah, I think they do too.
So,
but
we'll have to ask our WNBA reference because she's from California.
But so they want to put these warning labels on gas stoves to say that there's a risk of carbon monoxide and I don't know. Maybe it's just me being logical. I guess you would think that gas is gas. Like if you're gonna light a flame in a house with no ventilation, I don't know. Different than a restaurant that has $80,000 hoods. I don't know. I don't know where you stand on this, but I think it's just one of those silly things that we should be maybe focusing on something a little bit different. But I don't know. What's your take on it?
So here's where I stand on it, and I come from a connoisseur of popcorn. Okay, I'm somebody who makes. I'll just say it this way: I make infamous popcorn. Okay. There are some people that love my popcorn. There are some people that don't care for it. Chris Schatz. Shout out to Chris Schatz. I love you, brother.
He's not going to like you now.
He's come a long way. He's come to the other side. He's come to the good side. But I will say this. A gas stove to cook popcorn is better than an electric stove. And so that's my take on this. Now, living in a state that is very similar to California, if California implements these warning signs on the gas stoves, it won't be long before Oregon does the same. We tend to follow in their footsteps. But I think it's stupid. Honestly, I'll just say that. I think it's dumb.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat with you. I don't know. It seems like just something else that we need to focus on. But you said popcorn earlier. You're laughing because I just sent you a text message. But you saw this. I saw this reel. You said popcorn. He's leaving. Dude, so we're just going to talk about this real quick because this gas stove thing, I think we've already ran its course. But do you are a connoisseur of popcorn. You do make really good homemade popcorn. I do like it. I haven't enjoyed it in a few years. But is popcorn cereal?
No. Okay. So here's the thing. Since you said this to me. So just for a little bit of context, Justin sent this ridiculously stupid text to me and my friend this week to say that popcorn is cereal. This reel. What a joke. Now, here's the thing. There are people of a generation prior to mine that have told me about the reality of popcorn as cereal. They had popcorn and milk for a snack.
Oh, hang on. I will eat popcorn and drink a glass of milk.
Yes, that's what I said to them. I said, yes, popcorn with milk as a beverage to wash it down, all game for that.
Dude, hang on a second. Is it white milk or chocolate milk?
Depends on the cow.
It's got to be white milk for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
To my nephew Knox, if you have a chocolate cow, you can get chocolate milk, and it's pretty good. So I love you, Knox. Thank you for chocolate cow.
Where does pink milk come from?
Yeah.
Anyways, go back to your.
So popcorn is not cereal. There are people that eat popcorn with milk as cereal, but they're disoriented.
Well,
now, the person that I talked to that does this for real life, I didn't tell you this, Justin. He does this with kettle corn.
Oh, okay.
And so the kettle corn has a sweet, sugary flavor. The milk adds a different element. And I was told that is something that was done back in a generation prior.
Yeah, I mean.
However, you made the comment of butter and it coming from dairy and all of this stuff. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Okay, but I will say that popcorn, like my kids, I showed my kids that reel in that little tidbit, and they're like, oh, well, then I can eat that for cereal. And I'm like, well, yeah, but if you put real butter on it, the butter that we have on these popcorns are not real anyways. Just like movie theater butter is not real butter.
Yeah, I get you. That's true. But when you make it homemade and you put real butter on it,
hot dog, right?
Yep.
Hot dog, we got a wiener.
So if you couldn't tell, I'm passionate about popcorn.
You are. I think I've struck a chord here. I didn't mean to, but...
So this is something that is passed down. We got a couple other topics that maybe we're going to discuss. I don't know, but...
We'll see. We'll see when we get there.
Popcorn is something that's been passed down to me from my parents. And my grandma, my dad's mom, used to make popcorn on the stove. And she would make it for us, and it would be very salty. It was very good, so good. And then my dad would make it at home, and then my mom started to make it. And we would mix and interact with butter and oil and salts and different things. Now, I have taken that recipe and adapted it to my own, and I have made it so good. There's not a lot of things I'm prideful about, but my popcorn is... It could win awards, except for Chris Schatz's award, but it could win awards.
You can't be 100% in everything.
I guess not. 99.
So 99. Yep, he'll be the 1%er.
Okay, fair enough.
But,
so, no, to answer your question, popcorn is not cereal. I don't care what anybody says. I will die on this hill.
And popcorn's better on a gas stove. I would 100% agree with you.
Correct.
So.
Okay. Well, to take a completely right turn and get off of this subject, let's go back to sports for a minute. So, if you're watching the NFL this week, and if you're like my son, who has, to a as his quarterback.
The quarterback. We can't say his last name, so
Tuingaviola. I can't say it.
Tua strung in a viola.
He was hit in the third quarter of their game against the Buffalo Bills and suffered his third recorded concussion in the NFL. So I wanted to bring up the idea that these brain injuries for football players is very serious. And there's people that die from these. It's a very serious thing, and that's why safety is such a big deal in the NFL. I get that. I'm not diminishing that. I don't want to make light of that. But do you think that brain injuries for us normal people is this common?
I mean, no, because I don't think you're throwing around your body normally in a day-to-day. Like football players, that's what their job is. I sit at a desk. I don't throw my body around in my head off the wall and causing like a trauma of sorts. There are situations through my day I feel like I've had a concussion dealing with some of the people I deal with, but yeah, no, not. I think when you come to sports, especially football and other contact sports, it's interesting that football has it, but we don't hear a lot about it from hockey.
Well, or soccer.
Or soccer. Well, yeah, I don't know. You don't hear it from soccer a lot, and they use their heads a lot.
It's more prevalent in soccer, but we don't hear about it here in America because soccer is not one of the main four.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, it's scary because that was one of the things, and I don't know if you had this mindset too when your son wanted to play football, is that was the biggest thing. My wife said to my son, I don't want you to play football. I like your brain. I want to keep your brain this way. And we had many discussions, and even to this day, my son comes home talking about practice and how kids are leading with their heads, even at the early level they are now. And it's just going to cause injuries. And everything that they've put in place now, football is not what it used to be, right? But they have to do this because these kids are watching these people do it. And we don't like those types of penalties that when people are leading the head. But it's not because the other guy potentially – it's not because the receiver or the running back's going to get hurt. It's for the person leading with their heads, and they could really cause damage for themselves, and just from neck injuries and being paralyzed. And but yeah, it's scary. That was one thing that was really hard for my wife to get around to let my son play football. And now the NFL is doing those guardian caps, right? Like the extra layer, like the old Don Beebe days.
They are, and I heard a person say just this last week. They asked them if they would wear that if they were still in the league, and they said no, I wouldn't have worn it, but I get why people do. So I played football for a little bit, and not to any level that was significant. However, I did play defensive back. And one of the things I was taught early on in football was if you do things according to form and how you're taught, you will be effective and you won't get hurt. I mean, there are freak accidents that happen, and you're going to get hurt playing a physical contact sport. I get that.
Yeah,
but
true.
Just like I told your son, just like I told my son, when you're going to go and tackle somebody, you keep your head up. You drive your nose into their chest, you wrap up, and you follow through, and you make the tackle.
Yeah.
Now, you see these guys in the NFL leading, or in college, we see how many, I can't remember how many times this weekend I saw people in college leading with the helmet and getting disqualified for targeting.
Yeah.
Now,
it happens a lot.
It does, but these guys are playing at the highest level. What are we saying about coaching and walking out the fundamentals of what you're being taught when these people at the highest level are not playing by the fundamentals?
Yeah, I mean, some of it's just instinct, right?
No, I disagree because you can be taught the fundamentals that can become instinct.
Well,
think about it Basketball. Okay? Think about it from basketball. You're taught the fundamentals from basketball, how to dribble, how to pass, how to shoot. Those are the fundamentals. In football, the fundamentals, we could argue, are passing, catching, tackling. So when you're taught from the age of 12 or 10 to tackle and you're taught the right way to do it, it becomes instinct.
Well, yeah, I would agree with you. Yeah, I would agree with you. I wonder if it's. Do you think some of these kids now, video games are around, right? And they've been around a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
The video game doesn't disqualify you if you lead with your head. And I know my son talks about wanting to truck people. I'm like, you don't truck people at 12. You barely stiff arm people. But I wonder if that mindset comes in the kids that they get sometimes too, because it's the very impression, they just pick up on these things and they feel like they can just take what they do, what they see online or what they see anywhere else, and they think it's real life.
Yeah.
But I think learning over the years of the football players from the 70s, the 80s, and early 90s, we're seeing the results of not taking care of your body or not taking care of yourself from these positions. And it's really put an emphasis, like you said, on the safety. But it's always, I think enough coaching does go in. I've seen behind the scenes videos of coaching and they talk about these things. I don't really know. I don't know if I know how to answer your question about like the instinct versus, what we're teaching them as well. So,
yeah, I mean, you're going to try to get an advantage no matter what level of sport you're playing, but you have to be willing to do it the right way. Now, again, I'm not saying that this will eliminate concussions. I've got a son who doesn't play football anymore, but he had many concussions reported before he started playing physical sports. And so we're still aware of that, even as he's playing basketball and doing other things that are physical, that he doesn't get another concussion. So I get that as a parent of an athlete. I want them to do it the right way. I want them to be form. I want them to be instinctual, but the right way. And I think there's a balance there. I think what we see in sports at the highest level now is somebody trying to get an advantage. And that's where they get in trouble, and that's where somebody gets hurt.
Yep, agreed.
So, well, I've got on a soapbox about popcorn, and now I've got on a soapbox about concussions. So let me get off of my soapbox, but I want to do something tonight. We had a great interview last week with your kids, Brenton and Brielle. And so tonight I want to bring in some people that are really important to me. We have Rod and Mary Thelander, and they do have a common name to me. They are my parents, and we are glad they're with us tonight. They joined us on short notice, and so I just want to say welcome. Mom and Dad, Rod and Mary, thank you for joining us. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing great.
Well,
we're doing awesome, and we have no problem with short notice because we're good at that.
That's right. When you're in ministry, it's just you come when you're told and you do what you're told and all of those things. So that's part of it. But yeah, that's good. So we're glad you're here. We've been talking a little bit about why we're inviting certain people on the podcast. So Justin and I have known each other almost 30 years. Our family moved to Lincoln, Nebraska in 1997, and Justin was one of the first people to meet us and came over. We talked about that story in episode 1. So if you haven't listened to episode 1, go back and listen to it. But anyway, the reason we were there is because of this couple, Rod and Mary, and they're called to Lincoln, Nebraska to be the pastors there at what is now Connecting Point, Church of the Nazarene. But Mom and Dad, I want to ask you this. In Lincoln, it was really cool because our house, the way it was set up, was everybody used the back door.
100%.
And it was like we had a saying that backdoor guests are the best. And that's what they began to use. Our friends were there. You guys created a place where our friends felt welcome to be there. And I personally, before we ask you any questions or get into this, I just want to say thank you for that. I want to say thank you that we had a safe place to bring our friends, that we were proud to have them there. I was always proud of you as my mom and dad, no matter where it was at, school, church, out in public. I love the fact that you are my mom and dad. And so I still feel that way. I love you guys. I'm thankful for you. But let me ask you this. What is one of your first memories of the Rabel family?
Oh, jeez.
We're gonna need you to designate which one you're asking the question to.
Okay.
Oh.
So let's start with you, Mom. What was your mentality in opening up our home to all of our friends, especially the Rabels?
Well, it was great. I think probably the first memory would be Justin and Nate being at our house. And they were always polite and kind, and we just welcomed them.
I thought you said you wanted us to tell the truth on this thing.
She got my payment under the table.
A little humor there.
Yeah. What about you, Rod? I mean, we were always around, and it didn't interrupt your golf viewing. That's for sure.
We've just been. I guess we just got used to that, and we enjoyed having our kids around, and certainly enjoyed having our kids as friends. Some of you guys became like family to us.
Yeah.
And you're still that way. And so it was always a blessing for us to have the kids around, especially Justin. You were always a good influence on BJ.
Whatever. You're supposed to tell the truth.
As soon as I
knew.
And
for what they heard, yes.
Now you have to remember, my memory's not always that good, and it's been a few years ago. But yeah, and then Nate, Nate was a whole nother story, and that'll be a whole nother episode. We can talk about that. But no,
yeah.
we love the Justin and Nate show, and we loved your folks, and and I'm sorry. Tell me your sister's name again.
It's Michael.
Michael, yeah.
Yeah, remember I named her because she had my middle name?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
that slipped your memory. It's okay.
Yeah. So yeah, you guys have just become like family to us.
Right.
One of my favorite things was the hanging out at the house. And it is something that I carry forward. Like our family, our kids, they like to be around us when we want to do something. They're like, let's hang out at our house. People can come over here. And that, growing up and seeing that at my parents' house, we always had people over, or we were going over to the Offit's house or to your guys' house, and they were always the same way. And it was that sense of, well, we don't mind them around here. And and plus, as you grow up to be parents now, you're like, and now we know where you're at, so we're good.
Right.
The church, but we were so involved in the church that we were always around the property, right? And and the reason that you always use the back door is because you guys lost the front door key and never asked the church for it. So that's the reason why. But I think we found it in the dirt when they tore it down, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, but
what's crazy is that we had so many in that house was small.
Yes, it was.
But the good news was we had a big yard. And so
that front yard, there was a lot of football games played there.
We did a lot in the back parking lot where the basketball goal was, and so we had a lot of room, but not necessarily inside the house.
It might be one of the smallest kitchens that had so much love, quote unquote, for food that comes out of that than probably any kitchen that you ever had since. I bet that kitchen was really small.
Yeah. But they went to so much work to remodel it and get it ready for us when we moved in there. It was amazing how they totally just gutted that thing, and the back area there, the laundry room, the bathroom. Oh, it was beautiful when we got there. But yeah, it was well organized, but very small.
Yes, it was. A lot of memories there.
A lot of memories for sure. One of the things, Dad and Mom, that is really cool for me to hear now, so many years later, is the memories of our friends at our house and the different things that we did. I mean, I remember vividly in times when our friends weren't there, you, Mom and Dad, teaching us kids how to be good friends, speaking into us how to encourage our friends, how to be there for them, especially in Lincoln. You guys were very instrumental. I'll never forget some of those conversations where it was like, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to be good friends to our friends. This is how we're going to be good leaders. And I really remember that, and I'm thankful for that. However, there were times when I'm an introvert and I've just wanted people to go home. But you guys always were welcoming. I never remember you at all saying anything like that. You always welcomed them. And one of the things you always welcomed people to was Sunday dinners. And so some of those memories that Justin refers to that I still don't even recall is the times where they came over for Sunday dinner. So
beef tips and rice.
There you go.
Oh,
Beef tips and rice.
Yeah.
One of my favorite meals. It's the easiest thing, but it fed so many people.
Mm-hmm.
And you always put it in the crock pot, usually right before church, and it was ready for after church.
Mm-hmm.
I still remember those.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool that those are the staples that, we talked about. Dad, I know we've talked about this with Brady and the way that memories are remembered from each person that was at the same event. Justin talks about these Sunday dinners at our house, and I don't remember them. I don't remember that many people coming over for Sunday dinner, but
I think it was just me.
So I have a story that I want to recall for you, Dad. There was a time, this is the influence that you're talking about with Justin. Justin was 3 years older than me in school. He was a senior, I was a freshman. And there was one day, I didn't want to finish school. We had assemblies, and Justin had a short day, and he drove. And so I had convinced Justin to take me home. And I don't know if you remember this, Dad, but I got home. It was probably 1:15 in the afternoon because Justin brought me home. And you walked through the
I had a half day of school. Yeah,
right.
Voluntary half day. Yeah.
And you walked through the door. Do you remember this, Dad?
Not yet.
Okay. So I had ditched class. I had ditched school and convinced Justin to bring me home. And I'm in the kitchen making a sandwich for lunch. And Dad, you walked in the kitchen because you came home from work. And you looked at me and you said, "What are you doing home?" And I said, "Justin brought me."
They brought me home.
And you just looked at me and you just shrugged your shoulders and you're like, "Okay."
All right, well, okay.
It was just one of those things that just didn't matter. So I just want to thank you for trusting Justin to be my friend.
Oh, jeez. Something like that. And that was one thing that I always, I just remember you're right. Rod and Mary both didn't ever say, you guys need to go out. If it's 1 a.m, we were making noise out in the living room and they're trying to go to bed. It might have been on Saturday nights where they might say, hey, I got to get up early and I got to preach. And, but it was that loving piece that you guys never said, you guys need to get out of here, go home, because you knew that our parents trusted you and they were in a safe spot. And that was all before Live 360, whatever you guys do. I don't know. BJ must be tracking his parents. I guess Rod's phone was dying earlier, but whatever.
Yeah, what's amazing to me is that these stories that you're telling now are so different than the ones you tell about when you were so scared of me when you were little kids, and thought I was going to kill you. You tell some of those stories like I was the meanest guy in the world.
I think that's every kid's parent stories are that way, I think.
Well, we certainly as parents grow and mature and mellow out a little bit over the years, for sure. And I was definitely pretty strict and hard on my kids when they were small, and so there was I'm going to say a healthy fear or reverence for Dad. There's a few stories they tell about Mom though that they weren't quite as scared of her, or at least not in a. I don't. I remember stories, BJ. You guys talking about Mom giving you a spanking, and you guys were just laughing at her as she was doing it.
That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah. Or the one I really feel bad about still, like the spanking one, that is true. There was a time we went to the store. I can't remember what store it was, but for our MVP listeners out there, me and my siblings are all within 3 years of age. So there's like 18 months between all of us. And so when Mom took us to the store by herself, it was a big deal and it was hard and we were not always the best for her. But we got home from the store and she spanked us. And it's okay for all of you people that are, spanking is okay. But she spanked us, and I remember myself, I think Brady was another one of this. I could be wrong on this one. Brady would have to tell you his version of the story. But we laughed at her.
Yep.
And she said to us, wait till your dad
gets home.
Yep.
Right.
And
I still say that.
You do. So, and when Dad got home, it was a lesson on respecting your mother, and I'm so thankful for that as well. I will say this too, and I know spanking is a controversial thing, but let me say this to my dad as well. When my dad spanked us, we deserved it, one, but two, there wasn't a time that my dad spanked us that I always remember going out of my room and seeing my dad in his room crying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He hated that. And I know that to be true. But so that's not the one I feel bad about, though. Mom, I'm sorry that I laughed at you and it got me a second spanking. But here's one I really feel bad about, and I need to say I'm sorry to you. But we would have family devotions, and we would give you a hard time, Mom. And we were like, you would write something down, and we would say to you, "Did you come up with that on your own?" And I'm just really sorry for that.
Did I come up with it on my own?
And there was one time I remember we were in Pueblo and we were sitting in the living room and I said that to you and I could just see your face and you were very upset and I felt so bad. I want to say for the record, my mom is one of the most creative people I've ever met, and she writes poems, she writes songs, she is incredibly gifted, and words are a gift that she has handed down to me, and I'm thankful for that. So, Mom, I'm sorry for that sad story, but I'm so thankful for how you've loved through your words through the years, how you continue to love through your words. Just thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're forgiven.
I remember talking about creative about Mary. Mary, were you behind the making of the hymnals into angels? Was that during your time in Lincoln, or is that something else?
I have made those, yes.
Yeah, I'm sure that you did that when we got rid of. Well, we recycled the hymnals. I don't know if we're allowed to say we got rid of them, but I remember that being one of the most creative things that the women's group or whatever you are part of. I remember that. I see those around in places that people still have them, still to this day. So
I'm doing it right now. Only I'm making nativity scenes.
Oh,
you should see these things she's doing now. They're incredible.
It's a new thing, yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Justin,
talk about
the amazing thing, Justin, is if you go around the country, you can go to Washington, Iowa, you can go to Ray, Colorado, or Pueblo, Colorado, or Lincoln, Nebraska, or Wichita. You can go any of these places and you'll find stuff in people's homes that Mary made when we were there. Because she was always making things, and people have them hanging on their walls or sitting on their pianos. And yeah, her influence and her touch is is pretty widespread over all these years. Of course, we are 103, so we've been around a few years. And by the way, I do want to say I didn't spank my kids that often.
No.
Oh.
And I wanted to bring this in, Justin. Did you ever get a spanking from your parents?
Yes.
We're good old Midwesterners, aren't we?
Yeah, and thinking about it, like, even my kids, I think I've only maybe done it once, and I think that's all I ever had to do.
Yeah,
Very
it wasn't
young.
a lot.
I remember one time you'll remember this growing up with your kids, the whole "don't make me pull over this car and then slam on the brakes and get out." I've done that to my kids, and there was one time I told them to get out and walk, and that stopped very fast. But you probably BJ's shaking his head for everybody. We're only doing audio, but we can see each other. BJ's like, I remember getting kicked out of that Astro van, that red Astro van, right?
Oh,
Is that the van you got kicked out of?
Yeah.
No, it was the Dodge Caravan. Only had one seat, and then Dad got pulled over. He got pulled over for speeding, and we had 3 rifles on the top of the back. He's like, I hope that cop doesn't see the guns next.
Oh, jeez.
Well, I know you guys love sports and sports movies. I don't know if you've seen the one about the tennis sisters, the Venus, and have you seen the movie that they made about their dad?
Yeah.
I have not, actually.
There's a scene in there where he literally pulls over, sends them into a store to get something, and pulls away and leaves them there because he was mad at what they were doing. And it's quite a scene. You'll have to watch the movie.
I'll have to go check that out.
I can honestly say I never did anything quite like that.
No, you didn't.
No, you probably just lost the kids in air in a store and then had to go find them. No?
No, that's another story.
That's another story.
Yeah.
So, speaking of cops and speaking of losing your kids, this might be another story when we have Brady on the podcast.
Yeah.
My brother Brady got lost in Ray, Colorado, at our town festival thing that was happening downtown. And all of a sudden we see Brady pull up in the cop car, and he's standing in the middle of the he was very small, so he's standing up in the cop car on the seat as the cop brings him back to...
Brady had to have been how old, though? Like...
2 to 3.
I was going to say 3 or so? 3 or 4? Yeah.
Let me give a little context.
He was probably 4, yeah.
Ray, Colorado is a town of 2,000 people. And we lived right across the street from the police station.
Mm-hmm.
And so the police saw our 3 kids out playing in our yard all the time.
Yeah.
And so this was Ray Daze, D-A-Z-E, the big, they put all the stuff out on Main Street and shut the street down. And so there's just people everywhere it's like the getting ready to go back to school time. And we lost Brady up on Main Street, and we lived 2 blocks from Main Street. And so we walked down to the house, thinking maybe he had wandered back towards home. And we got back home, he wasn't there, and we turned and looked, and here came the cops with Brady. So they knew who he was, they knew who we were. But yeah, it's quite a memory.
Yeah.
When we lost Brady.
We did. There was a couple times we all got left at the church. One time. And again,
you were with the Rabels.
You're probably with the Rabels, yep.
I'm thinking of the time in Pueblo, but those let me just clarify for those listeners. Like Dad just said, it was never in neglect or harm in any way. It was usually because we were doing something wrong.
We're past the 7-year statute. We're good.
Yeah, we're good. We're good there. So one of the things we wanted to talk about as we have you guys on is one of the things that we had done over the years, over the last 4 or 5 years, is we've had a family fantasy football league. And we stopped it a year ago. Well, I stopped it a year ago. You guys continued in a different league, and that's great. But we've resumed that this year as a family. And so we wanted to talk to you a little bit, especially you, Mom, about your fantasy football expertise. Because if I'm not mistaken, was it last year, Mom, that you were in the championship game?
I set out last year because I had won 1 or 2 years and everybody was mad at me. So I didn't do it last year.
Oh, so you got left out of the group text message too. I got it.
Yep.
Yep.
So, Mom, would you tell everybody for the record who is always your first pick in fantasy football?
Johnny Rogers.
Or Johnny Rogers.
Johnny Rogers is always her first pick, and she is a multi champion of fantasy football. I just want to say that for the record as well. But let me ask you this: what is your strategy on draft day? You first, Mom. What is your strategy?
I usually let the computer do that.
Perfect.
When I did it, if I liked the name, then I would choose those people who I liked their name.
What's your favorite name then?
Johnny Rogers.
Good.
I don't know.
Oh
Right
my goodness!
now, you know who it is? It's Jalen Waddle.
Because that's your maiden name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People.
Do you do the penguin dance?
No, he does. And I'm proud of him for doing that.
Is he a long lost cousin of yours?
No.
No. Yeah, I didn't think so. Dad, would you tell us what your draft day strategy is?
Well, this year and last year and maybe the year before, it was let the computer do it.
Highly invested.
I don't know half these guys anymore.
So, just for the record, if you want to win your fantasy football league next season, let your computer auto draft. This coming from two fantasy football champions.
And pick Johnny Rogers.
There you go.
Right.
Johnny Rogers.
Here's what's funny. I was upset at the quarterback that I got this year because I'd never heard of him. Well, come to find out, in the first week, he had more points than any quarterback in the league. I still don't know anything about him, but I guess he's supposed to be pretty good.
Who's
the number one quarterback?
Oh, I'm embarrassed to say.
It's okay. That's all right. We'll find out. We'll say it out loud for you.
Yeah. I can tell you this. It's not Tom Brady.
Okay. It's not John Elway.
No, it's not John Elway.
It's not Jim Kelly. We're good so far.
And it's not Johnny Rogers.
No.
That's fair. Well, it happens.
We'll leave a little mystery there.
Yeah, we'll let everybody go search that one out. Is your team name, Rod, still Fat Sal?
I think it's the last name I had was Roddy's Rowdies.
You've had that one for a while.
Yeah, this one it's a new league, and us old people, we don't like new things where it changes, so I just signed in with my name, and that's what it named my team, so.
You just let it AI pick your team name. That'd be cool.
There you go. Just like my sermons, AI.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you, have you let AI write your sermons yet?
No, I haven't, but I'm not against it.
It would be interesting to take that perspective, like, well, here's what AI says that we should be talking about, and then you can spin that some way.
Right.
Well, Justin, you brought up a phrase that I know you wanted to talk about. Did you want to ask Dad about that?
Well, the funny story I have about with Rod is golfing with him one of the first times. And this is one of the things I appreciate about Rod and Mary's household, too, was they were our pastors and the pastor's wife, and then became like family, like another mom and dad. But I heard Rod use the word Fat Sal on the golf course for the very first time when we were golfing. And I was a little thrown off. And then BJ was like, we're good. And I was like, these people, I just remember that we could just be guys on the golf course, right? And then we could be guys at the house and have our jokes. And even before we started recording tonight, we were just everybody just having a good time like we used to, and we can pick up at any point and have our jokes and stuff. And that's one thing I do appreciate growing up, is seeing a household that it wasn't, you get this demeanor, this mantra or whatever it is that is like, well, that's the pastor. You can't say things to him. He's he's a godly person. No. He's a real person. And he's been given a gift to be able to bring the word to us. And that's what I appreciate what I saw with BJ. It's what I appreciate I see with your son now, Brady. Those are all things that just real people, and I think that's what's get lost sometimes in the church. I'm not going to is that these people are real. Just because they have a platform they're on doesn't mean it. I mean, they're given a gift and they're presenting that, and so I do really appreciate that. But yeah, one of my fondest memories is you using the phrase "Fat Sal" on the golf course, and. But yeah, I think Mary, doesn't he have like a plaque? Don't you have a plaque on your desk or somewhere that said Fat Sal, or am I dreaming this?
I think there was one at
I thought there was. It might have got lost in the move or something, but
it was the Fat Sal Award. It took the place of the Distinguished Service Award in the church.
That's fair. One of the problems I did have over time is sometimes I didn't know where to draw the line.
Well,
in trying to be funny. No, I appreciate that, Justin. It's a compliment to us that people can be real around us, and and yet there are lines that you don't want to cross. But if Fat Sal was the worst thing, I'm just curious to know if it was a shot or a putt.
Well, I think at that time in your game, I think it was a shot. I think
I hit a lot more fat shots with my irons than I do with my putter, but I've been known to hit a few fat putts.
Just again, for the record, I just want to point out, I think my dad is now 83 years old, but he still shoots in the 70s when he plays golf. So have fun with that.
I can't play more than 9 holes anymore.
Is the back of your trunk of your car still full with shoes and hats?
Yes.
Okay. Because the last time I golfed with you, I think it would have been Oklahoma, BJ, probably, when we golfed with your dad last. We went to that course that was, I don't even remember where it was at. I remember that there was a cross street. It was right on a corner. And I don't remember the name of it. But we went there, and you opened up the car that you had, and I was like, what place did he just rob? This is he's like, well, when you find a deal, you got to buy them all. And so oh, goodness.
Yeah. I have too many golf shoes and too many golf caps, but I buy them all on eBay. Like I say, you find a good deal. I'm always looking for a good deal, but the reality is I've only played golf 3 or 4 times this whole past summer, so I'm needing you guys to get after me and
we're just gonna have to come and play golf with you.
There you go.
Yeah, but we'll have to do that, and then we can take Mary shopping.
Yes.
There you
crafts. Go. Some more crafts, right? Go to Michael's.
She tells me when she's going shopping, she says, "I'm going to go play 9 holes."
That's what I say.
Good. That's good. Well, I just want to say thank you for joining us tonight, and we want to do one last thing with you as your football expertise. We do a segment on our show where Justin and I pick games, and last week we did really bad. Justin did better, and I will talk about that a little bit later. But we would like to ask you guys to pick the games with us this week. Would you be willing to do that?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So I picked 5 games this week, and we'll go through them really quickly. 2 NFL games, so they'll affect your fantasy teams. And then 3 college games. We always pick a local game, which is the Nebraska game, which does mean something to you two as well. But so the first game is the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Buffalo Bills. So, Mom, who would you pick to win that game?
I like the name Jaguar.
Okay.
There you go.
She's got the Jaguars to win. Dad, who would you pick for that game?
Where's it at?
It's in Buffalo.
Oh, wow.
It won't be snowing yet.
Both those teams have had pretty slow starts, haven't they?
Yes.
Yeah, I would pick Buffalo since they're at home.
Okay. The second game is Washington Commanders used to be the Redskins at the Cincinnati Bengals. Mom, who you got?
I think Bengals. It sounds like bagels.
Mom's hungry.
Yeah.
Or she likes the song "Walk Like an Egyptian." One of the two.
Yeah, I gotta go bagels too because of Zach Taylor being their coach.
Yeah, sure.
Fair.
Former Husker. Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
And their quarterback is the son of a former Husker too. So yeah, there's some connections.
So the next 3 games are college games. We pick one of the college games that's a really good matchup. And this week I picked the Big Ten matchup that has USC number 11 ranked at Michigan number 18 ranked. Mom, who you got?
Michigan.
Michigan. It's the Michigan Wolverines. Does that matter?
Yeah, that does. What's the other one?
USC Trojans.
Oh. I'm going with Michigan. It starts with an M.
Okay. Michigan from Michigan and Mary. That's good.
Mm.
And Dad, who you got? USC or Michigan? At Michigan.
Man, I'm totally at a loss. I know Michigan's not as good as they have been, but I don't know anything about USC. So if it's at Michigan, I'm going home team. Hard to play in Michigan.
Okay. Good pick there. Again, I understand that. The next one is the largest point spread of the week, and that doesn't matter to you guys, I know, picking the game, but this is University of Louisiana Monroe at the University of Texas, number 1 ranked Texas.
And they're supposed to win by 44.5 points. Do you think that they can beat this team by 44.5 points?
Texas, yes.
All right.
Mom's got Texas covering the spread.
Yep.
If you're betting games with the pastor's wife, take Texas with the points.
She already gambles on fantasy football, so we're good.
Just for the record, to protect our guests, the only gift, it's a gift prize in our family fantasy football. There's no money that is put into the
That's right.
pot.
Amen.
Right.
Dad, who you got in this? UL Monroe or Texas by 44.5?
Yeah, Texas is going to do it, and it's exciting to hear that they may have a quarterback controversy in Texas.
I love that. I love that for Arch Manning, for sure.
Isn't that fun?
No, that is good. So the last game is the local game for Justin, local game in our hearts as Husker fans, and you guys being from Husker Nation and Superior, Nebraska. It is number 24 ranked Illinois, undefeated, coming into Lincoln at number 22 ranked Nebraska. Nebraska is favored by 8 points. Who you got, Mom? Johnny Rodgers and the Huskers?
Yes, all the way.
I am so impressed with Coach Rule.
Yes.
But I feel a little bit like the old geezer on game day, Not so fast.
Uh-oh.
I'm just going to say Nebraska better be ready, and I think they will be, but could be a good game.
That's
I'm hoping it's a
statement.
I've been saying that Nebraska is going to win every game, but it's only going to be by 10. I even said that last week, even though I thought they should win by whatever they should have, 30 points. But you're right. It's a Friday night game, too. It's a little bit different in Lincoln. It's the first Friday night game that Lincoln's had, which is very unusual because they're going to shut down. They're going to shut down campus. We had a Thursday night. Nebraska had a Thursday night for 9/11. When they came back, they played that Thursday night. It was one of the very unique times in Lincoln because Lincoln shuts down on Saturdays. So they don't like to play home games any other time. So
will they be changing? I heard somewhere where they're changing high school schedules.
So high school moved most of their games to Thursday.
Okay.
All of them except for one. Fremont versus, I believe, Columbus made a deal to play their home game on Saturday in Memorial Stadium.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Yeah, which I think they should have done that in conjunction with going to a Friday night game, they should have said, "Hey, on Saturday we should just do like a 9 a.m. to whatever time at night, 9 to 9, and have high school football games at Memorial Stadium, and just let people come in for free and sell concessions." They probably would have went over the high schools big time, but
Yeah. The article I read said all the Lincoln high schools had switched finally to Thursday night games. Yep.
Yeah.
Dad, who you got? You didn't pick a winner.
Oh yeah, I'll take Nebraska.
He's just saying we got to watch out.
Yep. That makes sense.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for being with us tonight and for this time. I know we took a little bit more time than we thought, but it's always a pleasure to talk to you guys. And just want to say I love you and thanks for joining us on the podcast tonight.
We love you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's been fun. You guys are great.
Thank you.
All right. So we got Rod and Mary's picks for the weekend. As we look ahead to Justin, as we're looking ahead to the new week ahead and the new weekend, let's first go to what are you looking forward? Well, let's go to these picks. Let's
get our picks, and then we can talk about the same weekend that we always have.
For sure. So I picked last week to pick up from where we started. Justin went 2-3 last week. It was our worst week of picking games, both of us. But Justin did better than I did. He went 2-3 last week. He's 8-7 overall. So if you're picking games with Justin, you're going to be winning. If you're picking games with me, you are now losing. As I went 1-4 last week and 7-8 overall. So I've got 5 games for us again this week. We just heard Mary and Rod's picks for these games. So Justin, let's go through these one by one. I picked 2 NFL games, 3 college games. And I picked the 2 NFL games just because there's 2 Monday night games coming up.
Yeah.
And those were the 2 games I picked. So we got the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo is favored by 5.5 points. Jacksonville, I believe, is 0-2. Buffalo is 1-1. And so a couple of teams that are trying to find their footing. But who you got this week? Jacksonville at Buffalo.
Well, Jacksonville is not one of my teams that is 0-2 that are going to make the playoffs. So the Bills are going to be my pick this week.
Okay, so you got Buffalo winning and covering the points, 5.5 points.
What about you? What do you got?
So I'm with you. I think Buffalo hitting a stride. They beat Miami with Tua got hurt, but they beat him convincingly, in my opinion. Jacksonville is still trying to figure out their identity. So I am going to take Buffalo as well.
Right.
So we got that one. The next Monday night game is the Washington Commanders at the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati is favored by 7.5, so a little bit over a touchdown with Cincinnati covering that spread. I'm going to go ahead and pick first here since I made you pick last time. Cincinnati, I feel like they're a team that has identity issues. And
look at Joe Burrow's hair.
Yeah, I mean, they show up for the Chiefs, and they almost beat the Chiefs this week, which I hate that the Chiefs keep winning. But it's like Cincinnati knows how to play the Chiefs tough, but it's like you never know which team's going to show up.
They can't beat anybody else or play them well.
But they're playing Washington, and Washington's not a very good football team. I'm going to take the Bengals here to cover the spread.
Taking the Bengals over the Commanders.
So you got the Bengals as well?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Bengals as well. Like your dad said in the interview, he likes the Bengals as well. Your mom she picked all teams that were cats, I think. So we're going to go with the Bengals as well.
Okay, awesome. Yes. So the next game we have is I tried to pick a good game within college, a good matchup. This is a Big Ten matchup. Number 11 USC is favored by 5.5 on the road at number 18 Michigan. Both Rod and Mary picked Michigan to win this game. Who do you got, Justin?
Last time I picked Michigan to play at home, they got blown out by Texas. So I'm not going to do that again. I think we're going to pick the upstart Trojans. I say upstart because they're kind of rocky last year. And I really kind of like their team. I like their quarterback, so I think quarterback play is going to make big in this game. So I'm going to say USC the cover too.
I appreciate your sentiment on this game. I really do. I was watching USC last week a little bit. I saw some highlights, and what I didn't care for in the USC game was the hype that I'm hearing outside of USC, that Lincoln Riley's not going to do it. They're not going to be able to cut it. I have to catch up. And USC is favored by 5.5 on the road. I think Michigan's been embarrassed this year. I was originally going to pick USC, but I'm going to switch my pick. I'm going to take Michigan in this game, at least to cover the points, but I'm going to take Michigan to win.
I think you're just saying that so your mom and dad don't spank you again.
Maybe so. Maybe so. They live far enough away that I can probably run away for a while. So it's fine.
Oh, goodness. Well, the next one that you have on the list is the largest point spreads. So you picked that one. That has number 1 Texas is hosting UL of Monroe, so University of Louisiana Monroe. BJ's 44.5 points. Did we both hit did we miss last week's? I can't remember.
No, we hit it last week. Last week the biggest point spread was 48 points, Tennessee over Kent State.
Oh yeah, they were up like 60 points at half.
It was 71-0.
Yeah.
Final score. So I missed that. That's where we got the difference, because you picked it to cover. I didn't, because I didn't believe in Tennessee. So the largest point spread this week is again against Kent State, but I'm not going to pick that game because I'm tired of picking on Kent State. Yeah. So this is the second point spread, Texas UL Monroe. I have a story on this one. I've been playing college football on PlayStation. I'm in year like 17 in my dynasty, my offline dynasty. And one of the teams that I chose to try to rebuild with was UL Monroe. And I took them and began a couple seasons with them, and obviously was winning because it's a video game and that's what you do. But there is no way in real life that UL Monroe comes to play against Texas. I'm going to go with my mom and dad on this one. I'm going to take Texas to cover.
Yeah, I'm going to follow. I'm following that too. I mean, Texas is going to put up 56. I'm guessing the score right on the dot, 56-6. Like they're covering 50 points. Yeah, this is going to be disgusting to watch.
Yeah, there is, as Dad said in our interview with him, he said there's a little bit of controversy at quarterback at Texas. Arch Manning is there. I think that's great. I hope Arch Manning gets to play and shows out again. I just think it's really cool to watch him play. It's fun watching him. So good. The last game is a local game for you and local to our hearts. Mom and Dad are both from Nebraska, so that's how I became a Husker fan. But number 24, Illinois, undefeated, coming into Lincoln, number 22 on a Friday night.
Friday night lights are for college, not high school.
Nebraska is favored by 8 points. I know what you're going to say, but go ahead and say it anyway.
Nebraska will win by 10 points. That's what I've been guessing all year so far. So far, it's worked out. Yeah, I mean, this is the first Big Ten. This is big boy football now. This is a team that I've gone to Illinois and watched them play Nebraska really close. And Brett Bielema, the coach at Illinois, kind of had Nebraska's number when he was at Wisconsin. So, now I think the fact that he doesn't hate Nebraska anymore, because like previous coaches got under his skin, might be helping. But I'm going to Nebraska. They're going to win this. They're going to win by 10. That's my guess every week. So, but it'll be electric to see what kind of the atmosphere will be on a Friday night in Lincoln for a college football game. It's something that's my lifetime has never happened. So,
Well, yes, it has.
On a Friday night in Lincoln, no.
Yes. Maybe not a Friday night, but the Colorado game should have been a Friday.
Should have been, yeah.
Should have been because it's a rivalry that was always played on Fridays.
It should have put it on Friday, yes, because the day after Thanksgiving, you're 100% right.
Yeah, and so you talk about Nebraska OU on Friday after Thanksgiving. You talk about Friday after Thanksgiving, Nebraska Colorado, Nebraska Iowa, Friday after Thanksgiving. So
yeah, you're right.
Nebraska,
we play on Fridays.
Yeah, they play on Fridays. Now, a night game, as Coach Rule has said, he hates night games.
He says he would like to have kegs and eggs for football. Wake up, kegs and eggs, and let's play some football.
So I saw another reel of Coach Rule, and so we're petitioning our people to try to get Coach Rule on the podcast. Looking forward to that if we can pull that.
I know where he lives. I can go knock on his door.
That would be great. I think it would be cool to have him on. If you could even get him to know that he's coming on a podcast with a former Nazarene and a current Nazarene, I think we're in.
Yeah, I think we could do that. I mean, his dad was a Nazarene pastor.
Exactly. So here we go. We got that. We've also, just for the record, I just want everybody to know this. We've had some 2 great interviews. We have requests out to interview President Trump. So we're waiting for that as well. This has nothing to do with football.
It's late.
Yeah, we're putting out our feelers for interviews. But anyway, when Coach Rule, one of the things that I saw this week was a reel with Coach Rule at I don't know where he was at, but this little kid came up to him and was talking about joining the Huskers. And he tells this little kid, "Send me your tape."
Yeah.
Send me your tape. And the kid goes, he looks back at his dad, I think was filming it, and he goes, "Dad, do I have a highlight tape?"
Do I have a highlight tape?
No, he's like 10 years old. So,
yeah. Dad's now filming at his midget football games.
That's right. So Brenton be watching. Now, here's another story. And I know that we love stories, and we're going a little bit long, but
it's okay today. We had a good interview that we didn't cut that short.
No, Justin, here's a story that you and I just still talk about to this day.
It's funny that I don't even know what this is going to be, and I'm already laughing.
Before 9/11, we were able to go to Memorial Stadium.
Oh yeah, this is a good story.
And we could go play football. We could go kick field goals. We could go throw patterns. We had a fun time going down.
We rode our bikes to Memorial Stadium.
You did. I was not there when that happened.
Okay. Oh, yeah. But anyways, yes, we used to go to Memorial Stadium and finish. I know where you're going now.
Yeah, so Justin, for those of you that are listening, Justin has a cannon for an arm. He could have played quarterback at any level. He can throw the ball 60, 70 yards easily. Probably still can. Mm-hmm. And so we were down there, I think it was a Sunday afternoon, if I'm not mistaken.
It probably was, because that's what it seemed like we needed to go find something to do. Yeah, it's probably Sunday afternoon.
So we kicked some field goals, and we're out there running patterns on Memorial Stadium, and we're the only ones in the stadium, just Justin and I. And he tells me to go long, and so I'm running this pattern, and I run across the field. And the way I remember this story, I'm probably at the 50-yard line, near the sideline, and I catch this pass right at the sideline, and I about take somebody out who's walking across the field.
Yes, an elderly person.
An elderly person, not as elderly as he is now. But the person looks at me because I kind of fell over. I caught it 1 foot in bounds like college. And right in front of Coach Tom Osborne.
Yes.
And
Tom Osborne was famous for running laps around Memorial Stadium and running stairs, and he was there doing that.
And so Coach Osborne was walking across the field, and I caught a pass from Justin right in front of Tom Osborne, and he looks at me and he says, "Hey, nice catch, kid." I'll never forget that moment. Thank you for
those
my
football moments.
Film.
Yeah. Too bad we didn't have cameras back then. Actually, it's a good thing we didn't have camera phones back then. Anyways, for a lot of things that we got into, and the problems that we have, we definitely would have been grounded. Your parents would have grounded me. Yeah.
We had a good time. the University of Nebraska-Lincoln playing on the Memorial Stadium, and what incredible memories. My kids still have memories of being able to go down there and sit on the goalpost because you put them up there on a big red-white game. That was pretty cool too. So
yeah, that was my son's dedication weekend that you came and dedicated my son, and we took him to a red-white football game and took him down to the field at halftime to do the drug-free pledge. But every kid just ran around, and yeah, I remember lifting your kids up and putting them on the goalpost, taking pictures.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. They still remember that. Elliot still talks about that. It's pretty cool. So.
Yeah.
Well, we're coming to the end of our time this week. So, Justin, tell me what you got going on in the next 3 days. What's up?
Well, this weekend, a Husker football game on Friday. Well, tomorrow is my daughter's 15th birthday.
Happy birthday, Brielle!
Yay! It's kind of scary. Dad's going to have to... Well, Bree's got to learn to drive from somebody, so who better than her dad? And BJ and his siblings over the years got to experience that, so we're just going to pass it along. Nothing's changed. But Bree's looking forward to that. She's so like I said, she's turning 15 tomorrow, and we're going to celebrate over the weekend because my niece and her cousin share a birthday in the same month. And they usually do their combined birthdays now. So we're going to do that on Saturday here at the house. So we'll just be hanging out, watch football, and family time again. So
awesome.
What about you, man? What you got going on?
Well, this weekend I don't have a lot going on until Sunday. I do travel again for work. So I'm going to just kind of be a low-key weekend watching football, hopefully, and spending some time with people I love, and then I leave Sunday for work. And so next week I'll be broadcasting from the great state of South Carolina. So,
you'll be on Eastern time, man. You'll be behind me. You might have to stay up later this time.
I probably will.
But we'll figure that out.
Yeah,
we'll figure that out.
So, yeah,
maybe I should fly out and I do it in person. We can go play golf at Myrtle Beach or something.
That'd be great. I got a couple days with some downtime, so I mean, it could happen.
I'll just let my wife know, and I'll just get on a plane and see how that goes.
Sounds good. I'm really looking forward to my work. Just put me up in a resort that's right on the beach, so I get to hang out on the beach all week. So excited about that.
Isn't there like a tropical storm or a hurricane coming that way?
I haven't checked. I'm no respecter of weather.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. All right, man.
Well, Justin, it's been fun. Thank you to Rod and Mary for joining us this week.
Yes, thank you.
It's been a great time. Thank you for listening, you MVP listeners. And if you haven't already, share this podcast with your friends and family that want to hear about 3-day-old news and just whatever the hell we want to talk about. So.
Fair. I mean, like we said, we'll take any feedback, good and bad, because we don't know what we're doing. We're just here to have fun. We're just here. I don't know why you're laughing so much. Actually, I do, but I can see your face. So, not that your face is funny, but anyways.
Well, yeah. Right. So it's been a good week. Thank you, Justin, for your time, and again, thank you, Rod and Mary, for joining us this week. And we hope our picks hit. We hope you have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you in 3 days. So here's to a lack of communication of irrelevant age news. See you next time.
See ya.